Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I am gonna wait a minute or two, but I want to chat with you guys about a pretty bad dude. And I want to make sure it's up here on YouTube for posterity. So I'll wait a few minutes. Some of you guys that are listening to this recorded later after this live session, you won't need to listen to this, but we want to wait for a few people to be able to jump in that want to take the time to listen to it live. Having my greens here this morning. Good morning. One of these lights, I'm not digging what it's doing either. Give me a second. Good morning. All right. So again, if you are going to tune into this, it's funny we use words like tune in. You're not tuning into anything. There's no radio or television here, right? But if you're watching this later, we're going to talk for a minute about Casmir Pulaski. If you come from my state, Illinois, Casmir Pulaski was a holiday that we kids got in school as a day off. It was celebrated the first Monday of March. And as a kid, you're like, who the heck is this guy, right? And the interesting thing about Casmir Pulaski was even in school, I remember asking my teachers and they didn't tell me a lot about him. And some of you that know me or have checked out our channel probably know that I love American history. I love world history, but I am enchanted by the American Revolution and what the men that founded this country did to make it happen. So check this out. Most of the country doesn't celebrate Casmir Pulaski, but Chicagoland has a huge Polish population. I don't know what the current number is, but at one point there was a ginormous population. There's a whole section of town of Polish people. So we celebrated Casmir Pulaski Day. Now, who was this cat? Well, he was a Polish nobleman. And before the revolution, Casmir was a freedom fighter. So there was a civil war going on before our revolution in Poland against what was basically Russia and Hungary. In that area, there was some wars going on. And he was fighting for independence for Poland. Didn't work out well. They got their ass handed to them. Now, interesting enough, Benjamin Franklin, Ben Franklin, who spent a lot of time in Europe looking for support for our cause, the revolution, ran into Casmir. I don't know how it happened. Maybe they were at a cocktail party. Ben's drinking his schwanky whatever, probably not greens like I'm drinking. Oh, hey, Kaz. And Kaz is like, what is going on? And they started chatting. They're in France at this point because Casmir, I do believe, was in exile from his homeland. Franklin talks Casmir into crossing the ocean, says, hey, we got this little thing going on in America, and it's all about freedom, and you'd be really good. Now, cool piece of history. To this day, Casmir Pulaski is known as the father of the American cavalry. Now, I'm not a cavalry expert nor a U.S. military expert, but I am told by my research that to this day, even the mechanized infantry, my brother was in 1st Cavalry, so I should probably ask him, but even the mechanized infantry uses tactics and techniques that were put in the original manual, right? The original manual that Casmir created for the Union. If you guys are asking me questions about guns or IDPA or something like that, shoot a message over to training@carrytrainer.com. I've got a lot of work to do today, and I just wanted to get this video up, so I apologize if I can't get to those. I'm not going to stop. So Casmir decides to come to the United States, and this is like 1777. Check this out. It's pretty cool. He gets here, and he goes to Washington, George Washington. He wants a commission in the Continental Army. At that time, you couldn't get a commission without an act of Congress. So he writes a letter he says to General Washington, I came here where freedom is being defended, to serve it and to live or to die for it. I'm going to read that again. This is a letter. This dude came here. He didn't live here. His people were not from here. He owed us nothing, but something inside of him resonated with the idea of liberty. This letter said to George Washington, I'm assuming there must have been something at the beginning. Hey, General George, my name's Casmir. By the way, I came here where freedom is being defended, to serve it and to live or to die for it. That's pretty heavy stuff. So at the Battle of Brandywine, which was a watershed moment in the war, at this point, Casmir did not have a commission. The battle's not going well. I do believe, and you guys can look this up, we were outnumbered 3-1 in that battle. I don't know the exact number, but 3-1. And the British had some of their best units there. So in all actuality, it could have been a really bad time. At some point, he saw, because this guy has been fighting for years, he saw something and he told General Washington, hey, we can maybe do this flanking maneuver. Let me take these guys that we've got and let me do this. And Washington's like, fine, man, get it done. And basically, his maneuver allowed the Continental Army to escape, not be overrun, and fight to live another day. Because of that, Washington got Congress to make him a general. I don't know the exact rank, but he ends up fighting for a couple of years. A lot of people don't remember. They think 1776, the War for Independence, went on for years. So I think it was 1779. Actually, it was October 9th, 1779. He's hit by, I believe, shrapnel during the siege of Savannah. And a couple days later, he passes away from infection. Now, there's some interesting stuff about this dude. I wrote down some neat quotes that he had said and quotes about him. He told Washington he's willing to serve and die for freedom, and he honored those actions, right? That's the part that I want you to take away from that. His words lined up with his deeds and actions. No, I'm not a history major. I was a carpenter, and I barely graduated from school. Once upon a time, he told Ben Franklin, wherever on the globe men fight for freedom, it's as if it were our own affair. That should give you some goosebumps. It's like throughout history, and I've got a bunch of friends that are Green Berets, and if you look up the motto of the Green Berets, it means to free the oppressed. And I suppose that's kind of what resonated in these guys' hearts. So the king of Poland, who was his arch nemesis, when he was fighting in Poland in the Civil War, his enemy was the king. That king said about him, he died as he lived, a great hero, but an enemy of kings. Check that out. He died a hero, but an enemy of kings. Well, in reality, kings, for the most part in history, there's some benevolent kings and queens, but for the most part, kings lead subjects. Kings rule over, whereas we live in a republic made up of people that use a democratic voting process to elect our leaders. Pretty cool stuff, man. Pretty cool stuff. In a letter George Washington sent to John Hancock, back when they were trying to get this guy this commission, he said about Pulaski, George Washington said, this gentleman, we are told, has been like us, engaged in defending the liberty and independence of his country, and has sacrificed his fortune to his zeal for these objects. He deserves from hence a title to our great respect. Here's something really cool. 8 times in U.S. history, 8 times our Congress has made somebody an honorary citizen of the United States. 8 times. One of those guys was Winston Churchill. One of those people was Mother Teresa. And one of those people in 2009 was Casmir Pulaski. 8 people. So if you have a mind that you want to understand how our republic exists, if you want to understand why people should not feel entitled to be here and to have it and to own it, you should read about men like this. You should understand that these people basically sacrificed. He was a young man. I believe he was only in his 30s. Now, it's been said that he was just a drunkard that loved war and he came here to fight. Drunkards that are just bloodlust, that have a bloodlust, don't say things like, I came here where freedom is being defended to serve it. Drunks don't talk that way. Drunks don't say things like, I will live or die for liberty. That is not something that comes out of the mouth of somebody that just has a lust for killing. Wherever on the globe men fight for freedom, it is as if it were our own affair. This is important to me because now in this modern time, we have people, and it's just dawned on me as I'm talking to you guys this morning, we have people that are of the mind that our country should not be engaged in helping the struggle for liberty around the world. And I'm not suggesting that it is our responsibility as United States citizens to free all of the oppressed peoples around the world. But the men that founded this country and fought the King of England to gain our independence, it sounds like they sure felt that way. Wherever on the globe men fight for freedom, it is as if it were our own affair. That's heavy stuff. So, if you live in a place like me in Illinois here that honors the life and death of this great man, Casmir Pulaski, you do not need to be Polish to understand this. I am not Polish. If you live in that kind of a place, I think that your state is a good state for recognizing that our very union may not have been here. One excerpt of history about the Battle of Brandywine, the historians state that they think if it not for Casmir's maneuver, General Washington himself would have been captured or killed. Can you believe that? Can you believe that if not for this guy, we may not have, probably we would have lost, had we lost the great man that Washington was? But what if we still had won? Imagine not having Washington on our money, not having George Washington as our first president. It would have been a complete revamp of the history of mankind, if not for this Polish horseman that came here to fight for people that he did not know in the defense of liberty. That's a very great cause. So this day, the 4th of March, is Casmir Pulaski Day. I would talk to people about this. I would do a little research. I'd watch a few videos. I would pull out your old encyclopedias if you still have some on the shelves and dust them off. I would even think about possibly marking it on your calendar so next year you can remember it. I would think about possibly purchasing a picture of this man and putting it on your wall to remember why it is we have the right and the ability to be here. Because it's not just because we were born here. It was because of the great and total sacrifice of dudes like Casmir Pulaski. You've never heard of it. You've never heard of Casmir. So there's statues of him around the country. There's schools in his honor. There are bridges, buildings, and of course this holiday. And like I just stated, he was one of only 8 people ever made an honorary citizen. I think that's a good topic to think about on this Monday morning. It's service, it's sacrifice, it's living for something greater than yourself and not to build yourself up. Look, dude died of infection in a battlefield hospital in 1779. In 1779, there was not any posh beds with televisions and fancy drugs and any of that stuff. Probably was a very unhappy death, dying of infection in those days. drinking whiskey and beer to ease the pain until he faded away. I wonder even something like that trip across the Atlantic to get here. Things like that we take for granted. We get on an airplane and we cross the globe in a day. We get in our car and we traverse hundreds of miles in an afternoon. That was a 6-week journey. 6-week journey to cross the ocean. Guys, I'm looking here at some of the comments, and it doesn't make me angry. It makes me sad, though, that what we're talking about, and it's not because I want you to pay attention to me, it's what we're talking about. I mean, I think it's pretty important stuff. I think it's pretty heady stuff. And for a moment, we can't pay attention. We want to talk about what gun or some Democrat versus Republican bullshit, which I don't care about. I think I've told you guys before, I was a vice chairman for the Republican Party. I don't care about that stuff. I care about action, and I care about action now, not tomorrow, not next week, not next year. Do your thoughts, do your words align with your actions. If you are good at typing things on the internet and spouting off with your buddies while you're drinking beers or at the coffee shop, but the actions of your life do not coincide with your belief system, then I'm here to tell you that your belief system actually does coincide with your deeds. If you live a life that does not actually move the ball of freedom or protect it or proliferate it, if you are not taking the time to think about men like this, not in a morbid way, but to honor them and to understand that without them we would not be here, it makes me challenge the idea of what a true patriot is, what a person is that feels that they are somehow entitled to even speak about these things. That's my 2 cents. Didn't mean to chastise you there at the end, but I think it's important, man. I think it's important. A man comes from across the ocean to fight in your stead and dies on your behalf. Yours, mine. Without him, it's historically factual that without him, there is a high probability we would not have beat Britain. Actually, the British cavalry, which at Brandywine was, like I said, some of the best they had, stated, this dude knows what's up. It's not just about Democrats, guys. I'll change a quick tack. That's a bullshit sophomoric viewpoint of politics. For example, go back to the beginning and watch it. It's not only recognized in Chicago, he's recognized around the country. But areas with large Polish populations tend to pay more attention to him because this guy was a freedom fighter on Polish soil and ours. In my home state, our concealed carry bill was not enacted, but drafted by a guy named Brandon Phelps, House Representative Brandon Phelps. House Representative Brandon Phelps is a Democrat. There are many, many people that are Democrats that are not anti-Second Amendment. There are also many Republicans that are anti-gun, anti-liberty. We got to stop thinking about the Second Amendment. I'm not a Second Amendment advocate. I am an advocate of freedom and liberty. The Second Amendment, it's one of them. This is the Bill of Rights is a totality that we need to keep intact. We can't be so short-sighted to just think about one or the other, and that's really one of the big problems that gun lovers, a lot of people mistake loving guns for loving freedom. They mistake loving shooting for loving liberty. They mistake loving the ability to go to the range and blow up pumpkins and pop cans for the love of the proliferation of our Constitution and Bill of Rights. It's a very big difference, guys, because to go to the range or go to your gravel pit or your buddy's farm and shoot stuff, that is your actions. To proliferate and protect freedom, to write shit on Facebook and to talk with your buddies about it, that is not protecting and proliferating freedom. So I get a little bit irked when I see comments. Those just scrolled by. I'm not upset with you guys. What I'm telling you is think about, is what I'm about to do, will it change anything? You're talking to the choir here, guys. You are talking, this is This is the spot where we don't need to have those conversations. We know what's up. We know what the score is. Why waste the breath? Why waste the energy to say there's people trying to take our guns away? We know that. So instead, let's say, how can we together change that? You know what it is? It's not putting ignorant t-shirts on that say, "From my cold dead hands." It's not going and holding a sign up that says, "Shall not be infringed." That does not change the hearts and minds of men. That actually puts up a wall in the hearts of minds and men. Education, understanding, that's what that is. You must first understand who is opposing you and why. We have way too many people in this genre of our world that are way too small-minded. Guns are there to defend freedom. Guns are also there to shoot holes in paper. Guns are also there to hunt. Guns are also there for fun. Guns are also there for hobbies. It makes your opponents steel themselves and dig in deeper. You're sure right it does, just like it does me. So it is, look, when we were running political campaigns, trying to get people to vote for our candidate, if in this day and age, it's very normal for somebody to say, "I'm running, he's running. Don't vote for him because he's a piece of garbage. Don't vote for him because he did this when he was in college. Don't vote for him because once upon a time he listened to the wrong kind of music," whatever. Instead, that person should be saying, "Hey, I don't know a lot about that guy. I'm sure he's a good person, but here's why you should vote for me. Because I want to do this for you. Because I want to talk to you and have this conversation face to face, and I'm not perfect." This is what I hate about American politics in general. There is not one adult person walking this world that's not told a lie. There is not one adult person in this world that's not done something that is immoral, unjust, sinful, whatever term you want to attach to it. Yet when we run for office, we try to pretend, "Oh, I've always done perfectly." And even us Republicans, look, I love our president. He's our president. He's done many very treacherous things in business. Deeds become actions. And I'm sorry, our words and deeds, they line up. That's what I meant to say. I don't know. We can't look at the totality of somebody's life and expect them to be perfect, yet we try to defend people. I don't defend Donald Trump's imperfections, just like I wouldn't defend Barack Obama's or Bill Clinton's or JFK's or anybody else's. Let's just understand that we are not perfect people, and let's instead look at how we can communicate with people in a manner that they understand our way of thinking and we understand theirs. See, you don't care about liberty if you think everybody should agree with you. You don't care about freedom if everybody has to accept your way of enjoying freedom. That being said, if somebody thinks pedophilia should be part of their freedom, that's wrong. If somebody thinks robbing me should be part of their freedom, that's wrong. If somebody thinks that breaking into my home should be part of their freedom, that's wrong. So what is that? That's laws, right? So our Bill of Rights says you should be able to live like this, and we're going to create these laws to help you live in an environment where you can do all of those things you want to do. The pendulum has swung very far where we have made a lot of laws. And you know what? The recent Supreme Court decision rescinding some of the state's rights to confiscate property in criminal cases, that's a big win for the American people. I got a lot of friends in law enforcement that don't agree with that. But in reality, what it's doing is it's taking power away from the state and giving it back to, I don't know what that, I didn't want to read that. I want to see what that said. Swing your arms, ends at the tip of my nose. I don't know what that's saying. That court decree is giving back the people a large chunk of our rights. And some people don't see that yet, but it'll be far-reaching. It's big stuff. back to the picture because I've got my friend Dan McCallman from Polymer 80 coming in today. His flight just landed and I got to call him on the phone. Guys, Casmir Pulaski, look him up. Came to America in July of 1777, fought for a little over 2 years, died in the defense of liberty, died in defense of our cause, fighting the crown. Pretty badass stuff. Honor him. Honor him by living a life befitting the gift that he gave you. A man that owed you nothing and paid a debt to you that he did not owe. That's pretty heavy duty stuff, man. That's pretty heavy duty stuff. Be good. Tell somebody you love them. Don't be a dickhead. Be well. I can shut this thing off.